Kia ora koutou. As was said, I'm Bridget. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm going to read this speech from my screen like I'm in Form 2 because otherwise I'd talk all day. You'll soon realise that I'm talking a lot deeper than accessible public transport, and in particular, why we don't have it. In 2021, I began a 2-year term as chair of my professional community, the Engineering New Zealand Transportation Group. My self-imposed mission as chair was to investigate why we don't get nice things. I'm going to summarise that journey in the next few minutes because it's relevant to the why not of sufficiency. In transport, we have known for decades that car-centric planning fuels misery. We know that mixed-use zoning, integrated planning, and better walking, cycling, and public transport infrastructure would make everyone's lives better right now, as well as helping mitigate and adapt to global warming. So why do we keep on building roads and car parks like it's 1966, I asked myself. And I asked others. I spoke with several people and recorded conversations, all of which are on Engineering New Zealand's YouTube channel. My conversation with Mike Joy was pivotal for me in understanding the delusion of offsets and electric cars, which fight symptoms of climate change, but actually give industry an excuse to double down on the excess that caused the crisis. I spoke with Paul Brown, a disability policy analyst and blind man, who reminds us that yes, while a just transition would be lovely, a just now feels a whole lot more urgent to the quarter of New Zealanders who identify as disabled. And I spoke to Nicole Rosie, the Chief Executive of Waka Kotahi, the New Zealand Transport Agency. After that conversation, I prescribed myself a swift tequila shot and sentenced myself to 2 years of reflection. Nicole spoke of her background as an executive in the freight sector. In our conversation, she spoke of the chaos that would be unleashed if we reassigned one of the 8 lanes on Auckland's Harbour Bridge to walking and cycling. Chaos that modellers in my transportation group had forecast, she said. In connecting these dots, I realised that we are all on 2 continuums, from awake to asleep, and from caring a lot about the world and the future to caring mostly about ourselves and the present. Unfortunately, most people in power are at the asleep end of that graph. Some of them, however, are self-centred and awake. Power holds on to power. And that was my conclusion about why we don't get nice things. The response, I think, is not just to advocate for more good, but to advocate for less bad. We need to bring down the people doing not nice things. So what to do about that as a tired transport engineer in suburban Hamilton? My LinkedIn friendship with Grant Ennis has taught me to make a living by day and organise by night, and that subtraction is one of our most powerful solutions. The corruption I see in transport investment isn't as overt as billion-dollar donations, although money is part of it. The reason that both National and Labour have promised more billion-dollar motorway monuments to masculinity is because those politicians' jobs, their status, their power, and their futures are run by a big boys club that includes lots of road construction companies, freight companies, construction engineering firms, and a lot of managers in public sector organisations. Not all of them, though. My brother works for a wonderful freight company, the only innocent man in Shawshank. So, the boys' club. To undo that corruption, we need to bring some lies to light, particularly the lies that propagate through the miscommunication of traffic model outputs. Just last week, NZIER told the Northern Infrastructure Alliance that a new motorway from Cambridge to Piarere would add exactly 11,100 trucks to the road by 2052, and that would bring $500 million in economic benefit to our country every year. That number of 11,100 is far more precise than it is accurate. What the modelers know for sure is that a new road would add plus or minus tens of thousands of trucks in 30 years, because the models have so many assumptions and unknowns, it's impossible even to state how accurate they are. did you know that transport modelers do not often tell us how accurate their forecasts are because usually they don't know? These are the truths I'm working to bring to light, because if we can stop throwing billions at wasteful infrastructure, we can start promoting the work that 90% of the transport profession already says is a good idea. And then perhaps my friend Paul Brown can walk for a coffee in Mangere Bridge without it being an adventure through the unjust now. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Ngā mihi ki a koutou.